Hi everyone, this is the E-mini S&P 500 futures. I'm using a 2000 tick chart and a 21 EMA. I'm also trading the E-mini NASDAQ on a 1000 tick chart, also with a 21 EMA. And so starting off on the ES here, this is our overnight high, this is our overnight low down here. And notice that price has these two legs down before pushing off, forming the overnight low. Now on a bigger picture, it's of course one leg down. As you can see, it's clearly in one trend right here. And when you get this break right here, you still have to take it one level at a time. So you have two legs down and then a sharp push back above the EMA, and price pushes into a failed second entry that pushes back above the EMA. This is a good looking reversal pattern for the size of this push down right here. It's confluent with the size. And then as we push up here and that reversal pattern launches off, what that's really doing is forming the bigger picture break for this overall larger downtrend. And so this is price action getting bigger picture in real time. So two legs down, pushes up into a reversal, and that reversal is the bigger picture break for the bigger downtrend. So I hope that's clear right there. Now, price pushes on up here. We get this leg up, forming into this channel right here. It's fitting well off those highs. We get a break, and you can see right here, we have uptrend break, and price pushes to a new high. So when you get a break right here, this is a place you want to look for a reversal pattern, but it just doesn't set up right here. We just get this we get a break and then it just struggles to get above the EMA. There's really no way to get in a good long right here, in my opinion. There's nothing for me here. And so it kind of just takes off without us. But either way, uptrend, break, and price pushes up to make a new high. That's how price action works. When uptrends get a break, they play out by making a new extreme, which is a new high. And so when you have this downtrend right here, you can view it as downtrend, break, first attempt at a new low. Now, since these legs are small picture, you can't view it as first attempt lower, second attempt lower for this downtrend right here because it's too small picture. This is really just one leg at a new low. Now, when you get this push out of this channel right here, it is a clear two-legged move before reversing back higher here. But I would want to see a clear second leg down, big picture, confluent with the size. Like say we get a correction back up to here, we could have gotten downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, and then looked for a long down there. It just didn't quite set up well enough there. I'm going to quickly switch over to the NQ really quick just to show the same area because the NQ and the ES will somewhat follow each other. Notice on the NQ right here, we got a much better setup. After price pushed on up here, we got a clear big picture failed second entry. So first entry short, second entry short, failure. And that's confluent with this downtrend right here because we have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure. So you're getting a failed second entry from the low count, and you're also getting a failure at new low from the high count. So this is a great place to look for a long, great looking entry right there on the NQ. It just didn't quite set up well enough on the ES. So back to the ES here. We push on up here, no setup, getting a clear second leg higher, and now when we push up here, we have this measured move in play, which means that we can still look for a couple legs back to get along to reach that measured move. These measured moves act as magnets, and so price is attracted to them. So if you can get a good two-legged move holding off the EMA, you can look for a long, but we just really don't get that here. Now, notice here you get a little tick higher. I don't care about each tick that goes by. Some might view this as a second entry long right here because you have first entry long, second entry long, but really I just view this as one leg down. I like to see clear separations, clear trend breaks, not just ticks higher. And so nothing there. We push on up here, it gets very choppy, make this new high, first entry, not enough to take a long, it just pushes on up without us there. We start to go sideways, and of course there's no room for a second entry right here. It's just straight sideways, make this new high, first entry right there. Again, I see that little tick lower, but for me, I just view that as one push down. And so at that point, you're getting very close to the measured move anyway. And so, as long as you have room, if you could have gotten a second entry with room, you could have got something, but at this point, price would have to push on up higher, and then at that point, the measured move would be met. Because after the measured move is met, then price is more likely to reverse, so you wouldn't just want to take a small second entry right after that unless it's with perfect context, which in this case here, considering we're in this range, I would not want to take a second entry long right after pushing off of that overnight, or excuse me, not overnight, right after pushing off of this measured move right here, unless you got two clear reversal attempts, in which case you could look for a failure. But I wouldn't just want to take a small little trade after a major measured move was met in the opposite direction of it. So anyway, we push on up here. We break out of the overnight high. Now, when you break out, price is expected to attempt to fade. You can expect price to get 2 attempts to fade before you want to look to buy the breakout. But as we push lower here, price just fades on in and crushes right through the overnight high and right through this channel here. And so you have this uptrend, and when price pushes through here, you have a break. And so these legs, you had uptrend, break, new high, were forming a bigger picture trend the whole time. And so you just got to spot it as it moves. And so when you get the break right here, now this uptrend can expect price to attempt a new high. And so when we push on up here, get a clear leg up. But I do want to mention there is a competition here between the bulls and bears, because the overnight high we just faded back in. When you come off of the high or low of a range or an overnight, then you can expect price to attempt to reach the other side. And so that is competing with this uptrend right here. So it's the uptrend versus the overnight high, basically. And so what you do in that situation, if you have a conflict like that, is you just have to wait for one of them to play out first. So if you push on lower here and then get 2 clear legs up, that would be the 2 attempts at a new high for this uptrend right here, which means that you could just get the failure. And with those 2 attempts higher from this high swing, that would form a big picture failed second entry. So you would just look to go short. And so that's what you would do whenever you have a conflict like that, a conflicted area. And so anyway, we push on up here. It doesn't quite set up so cleanly. We just get a push on up. Price attempts to reverse back down here. So now you have downtrend, break, and then your first attempt at a new low right here. It's just the first attempt. And considering you're pushing below the EMA and it's struggling to get back above, I really don't like it, even when it pushes back above there finally. And so you have uptrend, break, first attempt higher. You start that second attempt higher right here. It's just kind of choppy. There's really nothing clear on it, nothing worth taking. You push on up and you make this measured move. It pushes into a perfect measured move before attempting to reverse back down. So these measured moves are very important. Again, as soon as it was met, price immediately started fading back in. So even though, when you break out of an overnight level, price is expected to fade back in, it still didn't start the fade until this measured move was met. So that shows that these measured moves really do act as strong magnets, and they're very important to pay attention to. And so you push on lower here. This is a great place to get a failed second entry. I actually still have it drawn out there. So first entry long, second entry long failure. This is a great place to get one because the uptrend has 2 attempts to play out, which means it's a failure at new high at a fade area. And so this is a great place to get a reversal pattern, a failed second entry. But it just doesn't happen. We push on up here at that trend line right there. It ends up holding, third bounce right there. We push on up. Now at this point, you don't just want to buy the breakout. Just because this trend line held and it wasn't able to reverse back in, it doesn't mean you immediately want to buy this breakout. You still want to wait on 2 clear attempts to fade before buying the breakout. The market moves in pairs of 2s, and so second entries form all over the place, and they don't form for no reason. They form because that's literally human psychology. People try once, they'll try again, but then they give up, and that's why charts repeat themselves over and over day after day. And so you want to see 2 attempts to fade before buying the breakout, which you just don't get here. With this right here, some might view this as first entry long, second entry long, and yeah, technically to the tick you do have that, but it's not 2 clear attempts relative in size to the breakout. You just have 1 clear attempt and then a little bit of sideways action. That's really what you have there. And not to mention, this higher low is right into that previous measured move level, which is also, making this trade even worse right there. So really nothing to go long there. It does push on higher though, and then now we're getting a push back down. I would have liked to see 2 clear legs to this trend line. We could have gotten something there, because if we could, or even a retest of this measured move right there. Because if you have a measured move and you push through it and get 2 attempts to retest, and it actually holds, then that's telling you that this measured move is out of play and it's continuing beyond it. And so anyway, that's going to be it for the ES. I'm going to hop over to the NQ. So I already kind of went over this right here, this failed second entry. Great looking trade right there, very clear. We push on up here, so we have a new high at this point. So uptrend, break, new high. This uptrend is now considered played out at that point. And so we attempt to get a reversal. Price attempts to reverse. So first push down, second push down. It's just two-legged move right there. It's not measured, but it's clearly a two-legged move, making a double bottom right there before pushing higher. Now you still have that measured move in play, so you of course still want to look for a long. Now with this trend line, at first it was right here. Now even though it's holding right there, you still don't want to take it because it is just a first entry after making the new high. Again, when the uptrend plays out, you need to wait for 2 attempts to reverse before buying it. And so when you get this push up here and you get that second attempt, it isn't holding on that trend line anymore. It's, has a pretty bearish bar right there. It was just getting very choppy. It's really not an ideal place to enter. When price pushes on up here, you can look to extend the trend line, and we have this new high, and we really just don't get a clear push back down. We don't get a clear two-legged move. It just pushes on down and then gets very sideways after reaching that previous little low right there. And so really nothing there to take. We push on up here, we reach the measured move, this red one, as well as the overnight high. And so price starts fading back in. Now you can, just so you know, if you have an uptrend leading towards an overnight high, and if you get a reversal pattern, you can look to take it inside of the uptrend. You just have to have room to the trend line. So just so you know about that, oftentimes you'll get a failed second entry reversal pattern, but it'll be blocked by a clear uptrend, in which case you want to avoid it. But just so you know, you can take them inside of an uptrend if you have room. But in this case here, we push on through, we break that uptrend, and then price starts pushing on higher here, and that's of course where we draw this trend line. Now, when we push up here, similarly to on the ES with this trend right here, here back to the NQ, we have this uptrend break, price is pushing up, attempting to make a new high. Now, with here, notice that we have downtrend. Again, we have that similar conflict I mentioned earlier. We have the uptrend against the overnight high. So pushing off the overnight high, we get this downtrend, break, and then first attempt lower, second attempt lower. Now we can get bigger picture attempts, but it's one level at a time. It's a clear two-legged move, pushing back above the EMA while expecting a new high for this uptrend. So I like this right here. This looks like a great looking trade. First entry short, second entry short, failure. So you have that. It's not, the trade really isn't about this uptrend making a new high. It's about this bigger picture one. And then you have this failed second entry, of course, with the confluence of this downtrend having its 2 attempts lower, to make that long right there. And so I like that right there. We push on up here, and then notice that as this, when this failed second entry takes off, that pushes us in to a near perfect measured move. It's almost perfect before price pushing on down there. Similarly to on the ES, how it was, we had these 2 legs up there on the ES as well. And so it was a near perfect measured move before price pushed on down and attempted to reverse. It was unable to reverse completely. It just barely faded before launching back out. But again, this is a great place to look for a failed second entry. You do have this wider trend line in play. On the ES, it was already broken at that point. So back to the ES, here we have, we could have gotten a failed second entry pushing out of this trend line right here. But on here, the trend line is wider, so we would need to make sure that we have room, just in case it holds. And so anyway, it doesn't set up there, but it is a good place for one. And we push on up here, and again, we want to see 2 clear attempts to fade. Now, here we get a second, or whoops, I didn't mean to move that. We get a clear second entry long right here, or it's not I wouldn't say it's super clear, but you can see that there's 2 legs right there, but it's not an ideal entry. You're not holding off any support. It's really just, you just made this new high. Even though you are broke, you can still fade back in. We can still expect price to attempt a fade, which is why we want 2 clear attempts at a new low, or excuse me, not at a new low, 2 clear attempts to fade the overnight high. And so I don't like how it just pushed below the EMA and then pushing right back below, and then it's getting all sideways. It's really not ideal. Like right here, it pushes below, but we're expecting a new high for this uptrend, and it has confluence from the downtrend. In this case here, the uptrend is played out, and we can expect a fade, which is not good for going long right there. So even though it works out, it doesn't mean it's going to work out next time. You want to see 2 clear legs. Either way, we push on up to a new high, so we could get something soon. We have a push down right here. Possibly we could get another leg down to the overnight high to look for a long. So, that would be great because, again, we have this measured move in play. These measured moves act as magnets, and so if we can combine this with a retest of the overnight high on a measured move, then yeah, that would be great. But yeah, so that's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.